Hello, this is Bakubi Bizo coming at you with my first real video. Seeing as my channel's new and this is my first real video, I figured that we would start with the basics. Today we're going to learn how to build a kick using synthesizers to get all the sounds that we need and then layer them all together in order to get a real nice punchy kick. Included in this is going to be all of the samples that I've made as well as the Ableton project file and any presets that I use as well. I'm going to try to stick to stock plugins for the most part, although I will be using Serum because it is graphically really good at showing you exactly what's happening. So let's take a look at what the kick is made out of. This is an example of a kick that I've made using this process. Effectively, a kick has three different parts. There is the tail. The tail is probably the most descriptive thing of a kick. It gives it a lot of the sub energy that it has, and also its length determines what kind of music that it usually goes into, as well as how much distortion that you would put on top of it. The body of the kick is where you're going to get all the punch. Doesn't sound like much right now, but once you layer that in with the sub frequencies of the tail, it starts really punching you in the chest. And the click is what really lets the kick cut through the mix. So when you look at the three fundamental pieces of the kick, you can see them. But another fundamental thing to do is look at what frequencies that they're occurring at. So the sub frequencies are generally going to be between around 35 to probably 70 or 80 hertz. The body of the kick is going to be somewhere between 90 and 200. That's going to be the punch of the kick. And the click is going to be somewhere in the range of 2 to 4,000. So let's take a look at our kick that we have here and see what it looks like. So you can see the sub fundamental is around here, our punch is right here, and then our kick is right there. Okay, let's start up with the click. The click is the thing that's going to cut through the mix the most, so we want to make sure that it has zero attack because it's the first thing to be heard. And also you want to make sure that it has no sustain or release because it doesn't need to have any body. And then we use the decay to adjust it down so it makes a clicking sound. About 2.7 should work fine. We want to set oscillator number 1 to basic shapes, sine wave. Oscillator 2 we can keep as a saw wave, and then we want to increase the unison and detune it. We'll set the filter here to a low pass 12, increasing the cutoff just a little bit like that. We'll go to envelope number 2, drop the attack, drop the sustain, drop the release, use the decay again to adjust it, but it doesn't have to be quite as aggressive as last time. And then we can throw that onto cutoff A just to catch some of the upper harmonics. Let's see what that sounds like. Sounds pretty clicky to me. All right, so let's get into the body. The body is what gives the kick its punch. So we want to make sure that it doesn't happen at the same time as the click, because it should be click, then punch, then tail. So we will increase the attack a little bit. Somewhere around there is fine. We want to reduce the release, but leave just a little bit so it doesn't cut off the back end of the tail. Drop the sustain all the way down, and then bring the decay right down so that we are getting a nice punchy kick. Then we're going to set the envelope down as well. We're going to drop the release to 0, sustain to 0. We'll move this somewhere around 400, should work fine. And then we can keep the attack at 0.5 for this part. We are going to turn on oscillator B. So for oscillator A, we want basic shapes, keep it as a sine wave. Oscillator B, digital Reese. We want to increase the wavetable position to get a little bit more of an aggressive wave. Increase the unison, detune it a little bit, run both through the filter, set the filter to low pass 24, and then adjust the cutoff. Then we want to put envelope number 2 onto it, and then just adjust the amount so that we get a nice little punch out of it. And then let's see what that sounds like. Ooh, it looks like I put it a little bit too high on the MIDI sheet, so let's drop the oscillators. Sounds like it should work okay. Maybe bring this down a little bit. Just like that. So that's going to be our punch. We can also increase the volume of it, and then we'll work with that. So let's finish off with the tail. The tail is what gives the kick its harmonic quality, as well as determines what kind of music it goes into and what kind of bass lines it likes to play with. Long kicks like short bass lines, short kicks like long bass lines. So we're going to turn on 2 oscillators, set them both to sine waves. Then we are going to take the envelope, bring it down, bring the sustain down, bring the release, but actually put it back up just a little bit. And then that will allow the tail of the kick to actually come through. And then we increase the attack a fair amount as well here. And then the decay we can bring down to probably around like 400. Let's see what that sounds like. Sounds like a sub bass to me. Let's see what they all sound like together. That sounds like a kick. Maybe a little bit too much click. All right, and we can work with that. So now we want to check the phase of the different waveforms, making sure that we aren't having any phase cancellation issues. Sometimes the phase will cancel out different frequencies and make silence, so it will make your kick sound washed out. So what we'll do is we'll set up a utility here. We have the left and right channels inverted so that we are checking the phase against all the different samples. So we'll go through each one and see if it sounds better with the phase inverted or not. So we'll start with the tail, and this is with, and without, and with, and without. I think it sounds a little bit better without, so we'll leave that off. Now the body, here's with, without, with, without. I think it sounds a little bit better with the phase off, so we'll leave that off. And the click, here's with, and without, and with, and without. I think it sounds a little bit better with, so we'll just leave the phase inverted for the click. So now you want to open up the recording section, arm the tracks that you want to record, and then record the samples. Then all we got to do is trim them. And this is what the samples look like. Here's the click. Here's the body, and here's the tail. Now, after a bit of work that I've done, I have all of these different samples here, so I can load them into a drum rack. All of the clicks in row 1, all of the bodies in row 2, and all of the tails in row 3. Then we run them through the kick printer, which is just this MIDI clip here. We'll set up the recording track, arm the kick printer, just hit record. Now, our kick printer is going to combine every possible tail, body, and click combination in order to produce a ton of kicks really quickly. Now, I don't promise they're all going to be winners. There's going to be some phase cancellation issues because you didn't go through and check the phase, but because it's an exponential process, that's kind of a ridiculous idea to do. But what you do is you just go through, listen to the ones that you like, and pick them out, throw them into a folder, and you'll find yourself reaching less and less for outside kick samples. I hope you like this content. If you did, please hit like and subscribe. All of the project files are in the description below, as well as the wave samples and the MIDI. And until next time, I hope you have yourself an excellent day.